The fountain pen is considered to be the most elegant and sophisticated writing instrument, making it a favorite among pen enthusiasts who have meticulous and careful writing styles. If you already have one, you probably already know that there is simply something special and exquisite about writing with it. If you don't already have one, you should consider getting one. However, have you ever considered whether or not it is necessary to clean your fountain pen on a regular basis? The answer to that question is yes, without a doubt. Even the most costly ones need to be cared for and maintained on a consistent basis. The delight you get from using a fountain pen may be severely diminished by the presence of dirt and dried ink. When your pen begins to skip strokes while you are writing, this is the first indication that it needs to be cleaned. The need for cleaning arises even if the pen does not exhibit any signs of ink depletion. It is important to clean it on a regular basis, particularly if you haven't used it for a while. To tell you the truth, it's going to need some work on your part to get it clean. Nevertheless, when you take into consideration the fact that a fountain pen will live for a longer period of time, if it is well maintained, you will see that it is well worth your effort. It's a lot of fun to simply fiddle about with your pen and examine all of the component elements that go into making it the one-of-a-kind writing experience that it is. The process is even entertaining. It's possible that cleaning a fountain pen is similar to how you feel about preparing coffee in the morning. You have to go through a number of stages, steps that after some time become second nature to you, and there is a rewarding sense at each point along the way. The moment when you can finally relax and take pleasure in the work that you've put in is, of course, the most gratifying stage. Additionally, there is no need for alarm since the upkeep of your go-to pen is not complicated in the least. A fast and easy step-by-step guide to maintaining your pen is as follows. Step-by-step instructions for every type of fountain pen. On the market, you can choose from a wide variety of fountain pens that come in a variety of brands and styles. However, the procedure for cleaning the inside of the pen is fundamentally the same for each and every one of them. Take apart the writing implement. Take off the cartridge containing the ink and empty the converter. Water at room temperature should be used to clean out the barrel completely until a clear liquid emerges. Put the nib into some clean water and let it sit there until the water is completely absorbed by the ink. Repeat the process with clean water until the water is no longer cloudy, and then transfer all of the components to a clean towel or cloth. Before reassembling the pen, be sure that the nib and all of the other components have had the time to dry thoroughly. In an ideal situation, you should do this procedure once a week, or just before using your pen again after a period of inactivity. Cleaning tools and equipment. Before beginning the process of cleaning, ensure that you have all of the necessary supplies prepared. You'll need paper towels are very convenient since they do not leave behind any fibers when used. These towels are capable of quickly soaking up any surplus water. Despite this, use caution to avoid scratching the nib, since the surface of the paper may be uneven. Swabs made of cotton. If you wish to clean the barrel, you may find that cotton swabs are helpful. It is able to clean the accumulation of ink that may have occurred within the pen. Soak the cotton swab in water that is just above room temperature before placing it in the container. When you need to flush the water through the portions of the pen that are difficult to access, using a syringe is an extremely useful tool to employ. Water is injected into the various pen components through syringes. They may be purchased at almost any pharmacy in the area. Bowls are required in order to properly soak the components of the pen. The ones with shallow bottoms and large mouths are the most beneficial. Glasses may be useful for this purpose as well. Analyzing the components of a fountain pen. Before beginning the procedure of cleaning a fountain pen, you will first need to totally dismantle it as follows. Take the cap off the pen and set it aside. Turn the screw to unscrew the pen so that the nib part may be removed from the barrel. If a pen contains an ink cartridge, you should take it out. Here's a tip. If you can't get a grip on it, use a pair of tweezers. The nib portion should be taken apart. At this point, your fountain pen is prepared to be cleaned. Performing maintenance on a cartridge or converter fountain pen. The barrel of the most popular kind of fountain pen that is used on a daily basis has either a cartridge or a converter installed in it. Therefore, the method of cleaning a pen could seem different depending on the ink reservoir. In the event that the pen utilizes an ink cartridge, take the cartridge out of the nib and set it aside. If it is not empty, then set it aside in a vertical posture and place it to the side. You might cover the top of it with tape to prevent the ink from leaking out or the paper from becoming too dry. When you have finished reassembling the pen, check the ink cartridge to see whether it is empty. If it is, you will need to replace it with a new one. In the event that the pen features a converter is a reservoir that may be used more than once. Don't toss it out if it runs dry, since the bottled ink may be used to refill it again and again. In order to properly clean the converter, you should use a syringe or the tap to run warm water through it. Continue doing everything you need to in order to till the water is entirely transparent. Instructions for new writers on how to clean a fountain pen. There may be instances in which ink is left in the converter. In such case, let it sit in the basin that contains warm water for a while. Your cartridge converter will be properly cleaned if you soak it in water for at least an hour. After giving the converter a quick rinse, set it on a paper towel with the open end facing down and allow it to air dry. Before you reassemble anything, you may need the assistance of a cotton swab to remove any remaining moisture. The nib should be dipped in cold water. To clean the nib, you may either run water over it or use a syringe to force water through it. If you run the nib under the tap, just give it a little bit of water. Avoid using water that is warm or hot. Distilled water works best. Avoid the temptation to use alcohol as a cleaning agent, since doing so might potentially ruin the nib. After you have finished rinsing the nib, place it in a shallow basin with water at room temperature and wait 10 minutes before removing it. After going through this method, if the nib still has any ink on it, you may remove it using a syringe by slowly pushing water through the section of the needle. You are going to need to keep doing this step until the ink stops mixing with the water. After you have finished cleaning the nib, place it in an inverted position for at least 20 minutes so that it can dry. Troubleshooting. There is always a chance that there may be other problems with your fountain pen. If such is the case, then it probably needs a more in-depth cleaning. At home, you may produce your own cleaning solutions by: you might try adding a teaspoon of vinegar or ammonia to 1 cup of water and seeing if it helps. Put the nib in the cup and let it sit there soaking for the night. Brush off the nib. Place it vertically on a paper towel and set the towel aside. Caution: if the pen or nib includes components that are made of copper, brass, or aluminum, you shouldn't use ammonia. How to properly put away your fountain pen. After you have finished cleaning the pen, you need to put it away in the appropriate manner. Put it in a vertical position in a cup or a pen holder. When you leave it laying down after you have just refilled it with ink, the ink will dry off. If you want to keep your pen for more than a week, we suggest that you empty it of its ink and allow it to dry up completely before putting it away. Put the pen away in its case so it won't be damaged. The procedure that was just detailed may be applied to any and all fountain pens. Nevertheless, how often you need to clean the pen depends on the pen itself. It is not an issue if you want to keep them closed with the nib pointing in an upward direction. Even if the cartridge or converter in your fountain pen is only partially depleted, you may still be able to clean it. Simply ensure that you carry out each of the actions outlined above. Do you need more? At Dayspring Pens, we understand how infuriating it can be when your pen fails you at the most inopportune of times. You undoubtedly have, just as we have, experienced the frustration of trying to jot down some vital information with a pen, only to find that the pen has no more ink in it. To say the least, it's aggravating. Yet, it's also an issue that's quite simple to solve on your own. Visit our web shop to see our selection of reasonably priced fountain pen ink refills. You need to make sure that you don't run out of ink at that crucial time, so make sure to get your backup refills now.